welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Freed. I will be joined soon enough by Mike Luciano whenever he finishes doing what he's doing. But holy shit, man, I'm so sorry. I need to compose myself. I need to contain my excitement. I don't know what the hell it is we just saw. Please drop all your chats in the chat. I will try and read as many of them as I can. I can hardly contain myself. I got to catch my breath. But first of all, absolutely check us out on YouTube, TikTok, like, subscribe. You guys know what to do. Mike usually does all this stuff, so I'm a little lost with it. But oh my God, was that one of the most insane Jets games that I've ever seen? And I just got to say this before we start, right? I don't care about the future right now. We can discuss the Aaron Rodgers stuff in a little bit. We'll get to that. We'll get to what the future holds. But I don't care about the future at this very moment because the present right now is so amazing. I'm so happy for Xavier Gibson and everything that just happened in that game. There's a lot to break down. There's a lot to discuss. I am beyond words at this moment. Shout out Josh Allen. Somebody said in the chat, Josh Allen gets the game ball. Absolutely. You are not wrong. Josh Allen should get the game ball. You are definitely correct. Just an unbelievable game here. Jordan White had 3 interceptions. I don't know what you can say about what this means for the Jets season. I don't know what you're going to, there's a lot to discuss about what this means going forward for the Jets at the quarterback position. But the fact that the Jets were able to compete in this game with one of the NFL's best teams, with one of the NFL's best rosters. I mean, I know Josh Allen struggled in this game, but one of the NFL's best quarterbacks. It shows that this roster, this Jets roster, is one of the absolute best in the NFL today. And I think we saw that tonight. Whether it was the defense playing lights out, Jordan White having an incredible game. Sauce Gardner had one of the worst games of his NFL career, and he was still like the Jets defense was still killing it. Mike is joining us. He's finally here. Mike, what are your thoughts, immediate, instant thoughts right now on what the hell it is that we just saw?
All right, let me say something really quick. Fuck! Okay, now that happened.
God, dude.
Now that happened, have you seen the tweet officially from Schefter?
The Jets fear that it is a torn Achilles. It is unfortunately what we suspect. And again, we could talk about the ramifications later. I honestly want to talk about the game before we get into the ramifications, and then we can discuss what the Jets can possibly do at the quarterback position because this sucks. Obviously, it sucks, but holy shit, that game, dude.
Okay, so Let's go positives before I bite my computer in half.
Please.
Okay.
Let's talk about Breece Hall. Let's talk about how Mekhi Becton looked. Let's talk about Jordan Whitehead.
Jordan Whitehead. Let's talk about Jordan Whitehead, who took tons of crap from us too on these podcasts over and over and over again about how he was not good last year. What do you freaking know? He comes out 3 interceptions against Josh Allen, who I think – I don't want to say the Jets own him, but I mean, that's like 3 games in a row now.
I'll say it. The Jets defense owns Josh Allen. I will 100% say that. The Jets defense is tough for any team, but specifically Josh Allen really struggles against this Jets defense. So I don't care if it's Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, the pass rush, whoever it is, this Jets defense owns Josh Allen. I will say that.
That was encouraging. And look, I know that Dalvin Cook didn't look amazing. It's one game. Older guy just got here. Good defense.
But how good did Breece Hall?
Breece Hall, holy crap. Even if you want to let's take away the big 83-yard run, which should have been a touchdown if Garrett Wilson blocked downfield, but that's for another day. Let's just look at that. Even if you take that out of it, strong runs between the tackles, breaking tackles, sustaining hits. A lot to like from Breece Hall, especially because they certainly were not getting a lot done through the air at that point. That was hard to watch at points, just the Zach Wilson against still a good Bills defense. I mean, again, I know that we're on positive time right now. It got me concerned to the point where I'm like, oh, you can't fix this guy. Because it was the same shit that we've always seen from Zach Wilson.
But Breece Hall, 10 carries, 127 yards. Just unbelievable. He also had a 20-yard catch in there. I know that they were trying to work him back into the offense. They weren't going to give him a full workload early on. But my God, dude, like he's back. He's back. And honestly, you could argue he's better than ever. Like whoever repaired Breece Hall's ACL, get them on Aaron Rodgers right now. Get them on him stat because Breece looked incredible.
He looked incredible. I will say, even though Garrett Wilson, because Zach Wilson was inaccurate, didn't get a ton of catchable targets, I still liked what I saw. I mean, that catch in the end zone, you can't coach that. That's just intuition and ball skills. And
It was
I
terrible
thought
placement, and he still caught it.
I thought that Lazard looked okay in
I
limited
agree.
action. Had a couple big plays. They were the only two receivers who caught a pass. Randall Cobb didn't have a catch. Miko Harmon didn't have a catch. And Tyler Conklin only had one catch for 2 yards. So, again, when Wilson comes in and Rodgers comes out, they have to really, put the training wheels back on and do the Fisher-Price Kitty version of the offense. But you know what? It was working. And if this team's got to be Mari Schottenheimer ground and pound, like – if that wins, and then that's what you got to do.
Look,
Then,
okay, because there's going to be time for doom and gloom in a little bit. I'll be the optimist here and say, and I know I shit on this take all offseason, but the Jets were 5-2 with Zach Wilson early in the year. And you know why?
No, don't do this.
No. You know why they were? Because they had Brees motherfucking Hall and they had Elijah Vera Tucker. And guess who's healthy? And they also got Mekhi Becton now. And whatever's
Why
left.
did they ever run to the left side?
I don't know, because every time they ran to the right side, whenever they ran behind Vera Tucker and Becton, and also shout out CJ Uzama, who had a very good game blocking too, they were effective. And same with Nick Bawden. I thought he had a couple of nice blocks. I thought Becton looked excellent in his first game. He played the entire game, which that's huge. And they went into overtime at that. Although I guess he didn't take a snap in overtime. But even still, like I thought the offensive line, for the most part, held up in pass protection, and they were excellent, specifically the right side in the running game. Made Brees Hall's life really easy. And I also want to get to this chat here because I want to talk about this defense for a second. Because
we talk about 5 sacks of Josh Allen.
5 sacks, 3 interceptions, a forced fumble. I know we already knew that this Jets defense was amazing, but are they the best defense in the NFL? We're going to have that conversation pretty soon. I don't want to be like ESPN, like immediately having the hot takes after week 1. But
especially after the Cowboys just punched Daniel Jones' face out the
right.
butt.
And that's this chat here from Home Team on YouTube. By the way, we are seeing all of your chats. Thank you so much. We are trying to read as many of it as we can. Do you think the Jets defense better than the Cowboys and or the Niners defense? I think you got to put them in that conversation after what we just saw. I mean, this Bills offense is very good. And I have some things to nitpick. I didn't love the defensive game plan there on got to get the right graphic up. I'm all over the place, dude. But
how could you not be?
I didn't love the defensive game plan there on the last drive in the fourth quarter. I thought that their game plan of, hey, let's kind of like pin our ears back and just try and get after the quarterback, put our corners in man coverage. I know they trust their cornerbacks, but it's really difficult to ask anyone in the NFL to cover Stephon Diggs one-on-one in man coverage. And that was killing them on that last drive. Still, they clearly have all the talent in the world. And again, you said it before, we shit on Jordan Whitehead a lot. Shout out to Jordan Whitehead, because the Jets were really confident that he would be a lot better this year. And the dude goes out and gets 3 picks in week 1, most interceptions in a game by any player in Jets history, tied for the most. The last person to get 3 interceptions in a game for the Jets was Ty Law in 2006. So again, I don't know what the future holds, but all I do know right now is that the Jets have one of the best damn rosters in the NFL. The defense, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, the O-line cooked. I'm excited about that stuff.
And can I say this? What a damn fine job of coaching by Robert Saleh. You just had your heart ripped out of you. Like, which Indiana was it? Temple of Doom, where they ripped the guy's heart out?
Sure, I don't know.
I think it was that happened to you in front of everybody. They just emasculated you in front of everybody. All hope was gone. That stadium was dead silent.
Yeah.
When Rodgers got her, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear a mouse fart on cotton when that thing happened. It was just, it was like a funeral. Felt like they should have been playing taps or something like that. And then Robert Saleh with Zach Wilson, who you saw Robert Saleh's face. He was scared shitless.
He was dead. He was straight face, just dead.
He was petrified. He's like, you gotta be kidding me. He said, you know what? We are gonna knuckle up. We are gonna play the best defense you've ever played in your entire life. Zach Wilson, look, I know Zach Wilson was terrible for most of it, but it was like that Steelers game where it's like, look, in the fourth quarter, just make the throws and let things happen. He did it. They did what they asked him to do. They got Zach Wilson to do that. I mean, Robert Saleh, like I know that it's all about just wins right now when you're a coach, but I mean, that was as good a single game coaching under adversity performance as you're ever going to see in this league.
Completely.
Now, if I had to give 3 game balls,
okay,
if I had to do 3, like obviously I think Saleh's going to get 1, and I am going to go with Vera Tucker because I don't want to give it to Brees Hall. I feel like you would give it to Brees Hall.
Sure.
Vera Tucker, man, all pro potential was talked about. earlier in the year, I mean, confirmed. That was a dominant performance by Elijah Vera Tucker. Why did they ever run to Dwayne Brown?
Dude,
Him and Beck
every
on the
time
right-hand side, they were just plowing people over.
Every time they either ran to the left or put Dalvin Cook in the game, I got mad. Like I know that they were working Brees back, but the difference between Brees and Dalvin is
night and day.
It's not even close. One of them has legitimately is one of the top 5 running backs in football, in my opinion, right now. And if he gets a larger body of work like this season, you're going to be talking about him, I think, in that top tier of like, oh, he's Christian McCaffrey level. Like I think he has that potential by the end of the year to be in that discussion. And yes, and Dalvin Cook. Look, man, I know we can talk more about the negatives later, but I'm not a Dalvin fan. I'm not a Dalvin fan.
And the other thing too, though, is if I'm looking at the game ball on the defensive side, because like I'm not very pleased with how the corners. But I know Stephon Diggs is really good. I felt like Sauce did okay. I mean, I think he had like 5-ish catches on him. I mean,
it was a rough game for Sauce.
Wasn't his best. I mean, it wasn't like it was horrible, but you can't let a guy have 2 catches for 10 yards every single game, especially Diggs, who's very good. He was on DJ Reed a lot too. He beat DJ Reed a couple times. It wasn't Reed's best game. I thought Reed was worse than Sauce in this game. But if I'm looking at the defense, what a coming out party for Jermaine Johnson after all of the preseason hype, after all of the how good is this guy going to be? Carl Lawson's not playing. Here comes Jermaine Johnson, who got Josh Allen last year, gets him again, couple tackles for loss, looks as good as an edge-setting run defender as we thought he'd be. Shout out Jermaine Johnson, man. It's because again, I don't want to be basic and give it to Whitehead, so I'm going to give it to those 3 guys. And bonus one, my man Xavier Gibson, a guy who I did not even think was going to make the team. Not because he was bad. I just thought, I don't know. Then Corey Davis retires. They keep extra wide receivers. They said, forget Mecole Hardman. Did Mecole Hardman even get a snap? I didn't even see him.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Half the game, I had my head buried in my computer because I was so worked. I
missed some of it because I was out on a ledge in my apartment complex and I was being shouted down. You have so much to live for. That's what I had to deal with I must have missed maybe Mecole Hardman got a target on a slant route or something like that.
I don't think he got targeted. I definitely don't think he was targeted. He might have gotten some snaps, but.
And then he comes in, and I mean, that is pure instincts. That is pure talent. What Xavier Gibson did. It's hard to coach. And you know what? How about the brass ones? How about the cojones on this guy as a rookie in your first game? You get 10 rookies back there. What, 8 of them fair catching it? 8 of them catching it, and they're staring that thing down so they don't fumble it and they end up as the worst person in the world. He says, I'm running with it, and he scores a touchdown in his first game. His first game.
On Monday Night Football,
McDonald for crying out loud.
Time. I can't wait to watch that play back and see all the under-the-radar guys who made blocks. I know Chaz Surratt had that potentially illegal block. We're not going to discuss that at the end.
What illegal block? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I saw a good block. It was good. It was great.
I was in a bathroom. I ain't seen nothing.
Look, I mean, even if we're being honest, even if they call that, like the Jets are still at like the 20-yard line. Like it's obviously it's not over, but they're in good shape. But yeah, I love the idea of game balls. I don't know who I'm gonna give mine to. Great call here in chat too. Solid with the balls to go for it.
Yes, 4th down.
They could have kicked the ball. Like they absolutely could have kicked that. I know it was like a couple of inches. They could have still kicked that and said, "Hey, we're going to trust our defense to make the play here." But no, they're like, "Okay, we're going to try and basically take as much time off the clock as possible here." And they did do that, and they got it. Obviously, the Bills ended up scoring a field goal, but they didn't get more. And now we're here. They went to overtime, and the Jets won the game. So definitely shout out to Robert Saleh. I agree with you. I think it was an excellent coaching job all around by the Jets. I think Jeff Ober called mostly a really good game. Hackett did the best with what he was given, honestly. Obviously, when you're dealing with Zach Wilson at quarterback, he is a backup quarterback. It's really tough, and obviously that wasn't their plan. That was not their expectation. This offense was not meant to be run by Zach Wilson in week 1, but here they were.
Really quick. Someone at AG in chat, Jets got lucky. I don't give a shit.
Got lucky? Hold on. Got lucky on the day that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. Potentially got lucky on the day that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the first drive of his game his career with the Jets.
4 plays in.
4 plays. He didn't even complete a pass. Got lucky, my ass. Get the hell out of here, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry for headphone
you
use.
know, Justin, those Jets, there's just too many lucky breaks for the Jets lately, you know?
Yeah, they're just too lucky, dude. The
I'm
Jets.
just waiting for somebody to knock the Jets off their pedestal, man. They've been too high and mighty for too long.
If there's one thing we could say about the Jets as a franchise, they've just been too lucky over the years. That's clearly what it is. They've just been too fucking lucky.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I know it's been sunshine and rainbows, and now we're in the middle of this really tough stretch right now because the Jets have been the most blessed franchise with tons of Super Bowls. It got lucky. Oh.
I know, man. And then, as DJ CJ pointed out too, and the doink in, there were so many unreal like moments in this game that I'm forgetting half of them, trying to think of them right here, from the Garrett Wilson catch to Brees being ridiculous to the doink in at the end.
The doink and that awful last drive when they kicked the field goal. And
I
no Garrett Wilson touches, no Brees Hall touches.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot. Specifically, the no Brees Hall touches. That really bothered me because the dude was your entire offense. And you were like, all right, let's just run it with Dalvin Cook and then give it to Michael Carter on third down instead of letting Brees try and break anything. That definitely bothered me too. But hey, man, the Jets won. The Jets are in first place. Here's a stat for you. Ready? The Jets are in first place in the AFC East. I believe this is correct. For the first time, I think since 2010 is the last time the Jets held a division lead in the AFC East. Somebody correct me in chat if I'm wrong on that. I'm pretty sure that that's correct, that's insane. And again, I don't know what the future holds.
You want to hear a crazier stat?
Sure. What's up?
In 4 of the Jets' last 5 primetime games, their starting quarterbacks have been either hurt or benched. Remember that Flacco one where they almost beat the Patriots in the Gase year? That was the only one.
Wow.
That was the only one.
It's very Jets. Every time they're on prime, and guess what? We got 4 more of these, baby. We got 4 more primetime games coming.
Oh my god.
We got 4 more. Oh my god.
Look, fans, I know some NFL fans may not have watched the Jets a lot last few years, and they really don't know kind of what Zach Wilson is. You're gonna find out whether you like it or not.
We'll see.
What Zach Wilson is.
I appreciate the condolences here from Zach Best in chat. Look, it's such a confusing. I'm so confused about how to feel right now. Obviously, the rest of the season, this is a massive blow. But what we just saw was one of the most insane Jets wins I've ever seen. So it's it's confusion. I'm just confused. I'm ecstatic. I lost my mind when they won the game, even though I was, grieving for most of the game.
It's like if you're at your wedding and your uncle got shot. It's like,
what? Please tell me you just thought of that off the top of your head, and that's not something you've seen before.
That is off the dome, baby.
That's great. Oh, I'm glad that isn't something that is like a personal experience for you, because that would be terrible.
No, that is not a personal experience.
All right, I think it's time we do have to address the elephant.
Really quick before that, I don't know if you saw the tweet, but Connor Saleh did say Zach Wilson is the starter for the rest of the season. From Connor,
he said for the rest of the season.
That's what he said.
I did not see that. Ooh, boy, when did he say that? I want to see him say that.
Connor Hughes about 15 minutes ago.
Wow. I mean, look, that's until further notice. That's how I'm gonna say that's until further notice, because if Zach Wilson comes out and he stinks it up, they're not gonna they will not stick with him if he's awful. That being said, he is QB1 going forward, obviously. What are the options? What can the Jets do at quarterback? Because, man, it's tough. It's rough out here. And I know
they pretty much confirmed it's a torn Achilles for Rodgers. I mean, without saying it officially.
Usually with the torn Achilles, you can tell. And they're just going to confirm it tomorrow with the MRI. But that is the fear. And look, we could sit here and be like, oh, it's shades of Vinny Testaverde. It's classic Jets. It's same old Jets. Whatever, man. I was ready to go that route. And then we just saw that happen, the insane ending to that game. So I'm just going to sit here and look at it from an optimistic point of view. And I'm going to look at it and say, what the hell can the Jets do? Is there any way this season is salvageable? Realistically, I don't think the Jets are winning the Super Bowl this year. I mean, you never know. Maybe Zach Wilson comes out and just balls out now that he has a week as QB1.
And maybe I'll marry Scarlett Johansson. Maybe that'll happen too.
Maybe, Mike. If you dream, it could happen. But what can the Jets possibly do? They have Zach Wilson. Tim Boyle's on the practice squad. I imagine he's probably going to get first crack at being the backup. There are options out there. None of them are good. Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles.
Wentz is clearly the best of – I mean, Carson Wentz right now is better than Zach Wilson by a lot.
Yeah, I guess. But also, I don't
You
want to
just
see.
don't want to have him learn the entire offense and learn everybody, and also him and Hackett would fight each other to the death offensively.
I will say it is, I don't want to say funny, but it is just an incredible coincidence that Joe Flacco about 4 days ago came out and basically said, hey, I'm not retired. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity for maybe a quarterback to get hurt. And then a few days later, the same team he spent the last 3 years on, their quarterback gets hurt. So I wouldn't be shocked if they brought back.
Your grandmother's faster than Flacco.
What?
Your grandmother's faster than Flacco.
You're right. And she's dead. You're right.
All right, let's deconstruct this comment from General Shadow in chat.
Okay.
Foles is available. Will Greer is available. Maybe you get Phillip Rivers out of retirement. Matt Ryan is a free agent. Okay, Nick Foles, him with the Colts last year was as impossible to watch quarterback play. I mean, it looked like a guy who was 55. It made me sad. It was like
Foles and Wentz obviously make sense because of the Joe Douglas connection. They both spent time with Douglas in Philly, so there's the connection there.
Foles is like when you see a great band from the 80s and then they're doing like county fairs. Are you ready to rock Davenport, Iowa? That's Mike's what Nick Foles was.
Fire with the analogies tonight.
Yeah. Matt Ryan got benched for that Nick Foles and is currently an analyst. Phillip Rivers is a high school coach and he's got 12 kids. I guess maybe if he needs more like alimony payments or something like that, then maybe he'll sign with the Jets for a quick check. But I mean, that's probably the four least mobile quarterbacks. They're still on the outskirts of playing right now, or probably Rivers, Ryan, Foles.
I'll throw a name out there that Jets fans aren't going to like, but Blake Bortles would be pretty funny. And I'm going to say Blake Bortles because he had the most success of his career under Nathaniel Hackett in Jacksonville.
Yeah. All right. Imran had a good idea where he said trade for Minshew. I would love that. The Colts wouldn't do that because they have a rookie in Anthony Richardson and familiarity with Chase Dyson.
You know who could be available in a trade, though? The fact that Saleh said that Zach Wilson is QB1 for the rest of the season makes me think they're not going to trade for somebody. But if they were going to explore a trade, I'd call the Saints about Jameis Winston. That's who I would call about.
Ooh, I would like that a lot.
Right. I don't think he's untouchable by any means. They have Taysom Hill still there. I don't know if they have anyone on the practice squad, but
they have Jay Kaner, but he's suspended. So.
Right. So when Jay Kaner comes back, you have him, you have Taysom Hill. Maybe they would consider moving on from Winston. And obviously Winston has his flaws as a quarterback. No one's sitting here and saying that Jameis Winston is going to take the Jets to a Super Bowl. But I do think he's a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. And I also think at this stage, he is probably a higher ceiling, at least from what you can get to him on a week-to-week basis, than what Zach Wilson could provide. But it doesn't seem like
that best in chat too brings up a collapse for Caleb Williams. That defense is too good to collapse for Caleb.
This roster is too good. That's what sucks so much about this, because what we saw, I said this right before you came on the show, what we saw tonight was evidence that the Jets have one of the best rosters in the NFL. It's not just the defense, which is elite. It's one of the best defenses in football, but they have the talent on offense. Garrett Wilson is unbelievable. He's one of the best wide receivers. He's already one of the best wide receivers in football, in my opinion. And you could say the same thing about Breece Hall as it pertains to running backs. The offensive line, which a lot of people were concerned about going into the season, absolutely more than held their own. And they opened a lot of holes in the running game. With Elijah Vera-Tucker back and with Mekhi Becton healthy, you have, I think, a very competent offensive line that realistically could be top 15 in the NFL. So you have the skill position, you have the O-line, you have the defense, you have the specialists, you just don't have the quarterback.
They were getting beat up early, and then they kind of locked in.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Jets O-line is top 3 in the NFL, but I don't think it was an Achilles heel tonight. Oh, that's
Pablo Santana in chat also stole my really grand idea.
Yeah,
if this is a long-term thing, you go call the Cardinals. You go, how attached are you to Kyler Murray?
I was talking to a friend about that as well, because who knows if he's even going to play this season, when he's coming back. That would be a situation of
that would be the dream scenario. Because Rodgers may not ever play again. We may have saw the last play of Aaron Rodgers' career, for being honest.
Realistically, you're not wrong.
He's going to be 41 next year, and he tore his Achilles, and he barely came back this year.
Yeah, torn Achilles at 39 when he was already contemplating retirement it's tough. It's tough to come back from that. I know he was already, reinvigorated. I know Josh Kerr in chat saying, "What the fuck, Justin? Bad joke." I didn't mean it. I said it was the offensive line wasn't an Achilles heel. I didn't mean it. I said it.
I didn't even realize that.
You missed that. As soon as I said that, I didn't mean that. I swear. I'm so sorry.
Between this and calling Joe Douglas fat in the last show, and
that's out of context. That's out of context. Oh my God. I didn't mean it. I swear I didn't mean it. But it's obviously the Jets quarterback options aren't good. if the plan really is Zach Wilson, look, this is how I think it's going to go. The Jets' plan right now is Zach Wilson. That's their QB. They say we're moving forward with him. But if Zach Wilson is costing this team wins every single week, and it's basically what we saw today, it's a struggle to win with him because, let's be honest, that's what it's going to be. The Jets proved last year, and they proved tonight, that they can win in spite of him.
But guess who he plays week 3? It's his old boogeyman nemesis.
Yeah, he's got Cowboys coming up. He's got Patriots. Then he's got Chiefs. Then he's got Broncos. Then he's got Eagles. That's it. That's ridiculous. Like, I honestly, I feel really bad. I feel really bad for the guy because that's a brutal, brutal stretch. But look, if he's struggling big time and they are really like trying to basically claw their way to wins in spite of him, the Jets are going to have to make a move at the deadline or make a move at some point. And if they're calling about someone like Kyler Murray, I would love that. I don't know if Arizona's going to move on from him. Who knows how? Obviously, it's going to depend on what their record is at that point and how much they're in on the tank for Caleb Williams. But
well, his contract's got a ton of injury guarantees that there was I remember reading about how they might not play him the entire year because if he gets hurt and those injury guarantees trigger, he's owed like $1 bajillion, which if they get Caleb Williams is going to be a real problem. So I don't know how those things would carry over if he's traded and things could get altered, but I mean, that might be I know it's tough to suck the wind out of the sails after this win, but there's a legitimate chance, honestly, in my mind, more likely than not, we just saw the last of Aaron Rodgers in the NFL. That's how his career is going to end. If it's not an Achilles strain, if it's a torn Achilles,
right? Yeah,
that might be it.
I want to bring up LG Goat in what did I read that wrong? L Goat 2504 in chat says at least we keep our first round pick. That is true. If it is a torn Achilles, the Jets will retain their first round pick. It'll only be a second round pick they send to the Packers. I know Jets fans are distraught about this, but Packers fans are probably pretty upset as well because everything all summer had been 65%. Just get the 65%, play those 65% of snaps.
You got like 0.04% or whatever.
Four snaps.
If he came out and threw a touchdown and then this thing happened, I'm like, all right, at least Aaron Rodgers, like he had his completion. I'm a Nets fan too. I had to watch Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, all those things, play like 12 games together in 4 years. It's that thing of like, it's one thing if you're, because I'm also a Yankees fan. Imagine all the wasted potential I've seen in the last few years. Like,
well, all right. Look, let's not woe is me to the Yankees fan here. Relax with that.
Did you sign Carlos Rodon, who gave up like 12 homers all last year, and he's given up 14?
7 World Series, bro. You're fine.
That was all in the 50s. Who cares?
You've still seen one.
Actually, no, because I still resent that was a school night in 2009, and I didn't get to watch it.
All right.
but anyway, getting back to the Jets, like that's what makes it frustrating. It'd be one thing, honestly, if he played the whole year and was terrible. It's like, you know what? At least they tried. It's like we didn't even get any resolution. There's no he was good, he was bad. There's none of that. It's just 7 months of hype, just gone. Done. Thanos snap, gone.
Cam Burchard in chat said how we feel about Brissett. I like Jacoby Brissett, but I don't know if Washington is going to trade him. Like, he's their primary backup. They have Sam Howell. They probably want a veteran presence behind him. That's the issue. Quarterback is the hardest position to upgrade midseason because teams just don't want to trade away their quarterbacks. Like, they just don't want to do it. Hell, call about Trey Lance. Offer the Cowboys a fourth. See if they just trade him away for the same thing they just got. I don't know. But yes,
with keep in mind, this is after trade picks for Aaron Rodgers. Now we're going to trade more for another quarterback. And
it's Zach Best in chat saying at least we got Hard Knocks. Yeah, we had what a great offseason, man. What a great summer. It was
all those months and months and months of podcasts and how this guy's going to work with Aaron Rodgers and
yep, dude. You know who's probably pissed right now is Dalvin Cook.
Oh my god! Alan Lazard is on a 4-year contract because of this.
Randall Cobb is here because of. Look.
Lazard, I'm more pissed at because of the years. He's like, this because he thought this was going to be a multi-year thing.
Yeah, he did. I mean, there's still
now you get all the crappy parts like the Nathaniel Hackett and all that, and none of the good stuff.
I didn't think Hackett did that bad of a job today. There was some.
Oh god, I just realized too. Now it's going to be Zach Wilson and a Nathaniel Hackett offense.
It will be. I honestly don't think he did that bad of a job. Nathaniel Hackett tonight. It was
an impossible task.
It was an impossible situation. I just want them to let Breeze cook more. That's pretty much it. But yeah, the options are obviously limited. They will sign someone. Who it is, that's nobody knows. Like, I have no idea who they're going to sign. Tim Boyle is likely your backup for now, unless they want to go out and add somebody that's more experienced. My guess, if I had to guess right now at exactly 12 a.m. on technically Tuesday, if the Jets were to sign someone, I'm going to guess that it's Joe Flacco. That's my guess. Do you think I'm wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong. It doesn't mean it's not.
It's just, it makes the most sense.
Little story time.
Go for it.
When we were in college, we had a quote board, like a dry erase board, up on our dorm room wall. And we would put all the funny quotes that we said there all over the years there. And then for a while, we had to stop doing it. And I feel like I was partially to blame for some of that because I got accused often of saying things, especially when watching Jets games, that were so nuts. It was like trying to get there on purpose when the whole point is
that checks out.
Yeah, it's supposed to be authentic. This is not fake. I am so enraged right now.
Oh, God.
I just can't form words to articulate what is happening. Like the things I would have said.
It's rough, man. It's rough. It's okay. Hey, we're here for you. We're here to grieve together. This is what it is. Look, we're Jets fans. We've been through, I don't want to say this exact thing, although obviously anybody that lived through Vinny tearing his Achilles has lived through a very similar situation. But we're with you, man. We are as General Shadow here in chat is saying, we're kind of basically back to where we started. And that is the unfortunate reality because what we saw last year,
one big addition they made was him.
What we saw last year was a Jets team, or I'll say early in the year when they had Brees and when they had Vera Tucker. It was a Jets team that was winning games, struggling to win games, but winning some games in spite of bad quarterback play, in spite of Zach Wilson. They proved tonight they can do that. They proved last year they can do that. But it's really, like, as it was for the entire game today, it's really frustrating to watch a game knowing that you have a significant disadvantage at the quarterback position and that the rest of your team needs to play lights out to have a chance. That's
Josh Allen was playing horrendous.
Yes.
And it was perfectly clear he was much better than Zach Wilson.
I mean, look, I'll throw this out there. Zach Wilson outplayed Josh Allen today because at least he didn't turn it over 4 times. I'll say that. Obviously, Josh Allen is still an excellent quarterback. But
I was texting with some friends, and I said that Josh Allen plays like he constantly has the Freebird solo playing in his head.
Yeah,
like that long guitar lick with a bunch of That's what he plays. It's just so reckless. It's so out of control that, like, I think now, last year with the Bengals and now I think is the tipping point of, like, all right, it's like that. It's kind of like Brett Favre Cavalieri stuff, except, like, I don't know how, like, Brett Favre, I guess he won more than Josh Allen. He had the Super Bowl and the MVP, so you just put up with it more from Brett Favre. And Brett Favre also did it in an era where there were just more turnovers, so they were just more willing to put up with that. Like, nowadays, I mean, would it be, if I said Allen's going to lead the league in picks, would that surprise anybody?
No, not at all. So. I also don't think, I think leading the league in interceptions is this is going to be a weird take, but is overrated. Dak led the league in picks last year, and he's still, in my mind, probably a top 10 quarterback. Probably right at that, like, 9 or 10 or 11 spot. So if Josh Allen leads the league in picks,
if you play in games like this,
yeah. Well, I also
he fumbles because he runs with the ball all the time.
The Jets defense also just has his number, man. Like, he plays like this against a lot of defenses, and it works a lot of the time. It does not work against this defense. Jeff Ulbrich, Robert Saleh, they have his number, and they've had it for years now. This isn't anything new. I mean, I know Allen was rough tonight, but this is nothing new. And again, I talked about this earlier. He did it with Sauce Gardner, arguably having the worst game of his career. This was arguably, I would say this was the worst game of Sauce Gardner's career. And that's, he's had a lot of amazing games. He really hasn't had before this, that bad game. It happens. Great players. It happens to. It's really tough, really, really tough to play cornerback in the NFL, especially when you got a guy like Stephon Diggs playing wide receiver in front of you. So it happened. But the fact that the Jets defense was this good, even without Sauce Gardner or with Sauce Gardner playing poorly, that's the ceiling of this defense. And again, it sucks. Like we talked about it before. You have an elite defense. You have really good playmakers. You have a competent enough offensive line. You just don't have the quarterback. So if the Jets are going to go anywhere this season, again, all of this is assuming that Aaron Rodgers is out for the season with a torn Achilles. That is the assumption here. If they're going to go anywhere this season, it's going to be completely in spite of their quarterback play. And that is honestly the worst part about it to me, is that every week we're going to have to sit down and watch what we were watching last year. It'll still be fun at times because we'll have Brees Hall. Yes, it will, because Brees Hall will break a 60-yard run, and I'll get excited.
Well, that'll be fun, not Zach Wilson.
No, I didn't say that Zach Wilson will be fun. The Zach Wilson experience is 95% bad and 5% what the hell just happened? How did he do that? That was kind of fun. Which is like that one play where he got stepped on and he still completed it those large. That was the 5%, where it's like, how did he do that? That doesn't look like an NFL quarterback, but somehow it worked. Like, we'll get some of those. But watching the Jets, as long as guys like Brees and Garrett Wilson and Elijah Vera-Tucker and Quinnen Williams and all these talented players, Jermaine Johnson, as long as they're healthy, it's still going to be really fun. Unfortunately, what we thought was a Super Bowl contending roster, which it still is, they just don't have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And that really sucks.
If I took footage from, I would say from Buffalo last year, the home game, which was still probably his best game of the year.
Yeah.
Or even if like the New England game, I just took the helmets off the things and just showed you like the dots or something like that, like the next gen stats dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it with the Bills game this year. And I said, which one is from 2023's third year in the league? You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
No.
It was exactly the same. Exactly the same. Like, and again, like he did his job when he needed to. I will give him credit for that. They didn't ask him. I almost wanted them to let it rip because I thought they had no chance of winning this game. I'm like, just at least chuck it and see what happens.
Yeah.
But then later they proved me wrong. But like, looking at Zach, it's the throws that he hits. The ones that he does, he still hits. The ones that he misses are still really bad. And it makes you wonder, number one, what they saw in him. Because, there are times he couldn't drop back right. He doesn't drop back in the pocket right. This is year 3 of a number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is looking like a machine. This guy can't drop back. And the concerning thing is, like, all right, totally, because again, Mike LaFleur, who, by the way, looked amazing, with the Rams. Just FYI, Mike LaFleur.
Hey, man, I thought he never should have been fired, so I'm just
me either.
We got a lot of shit for that, but
oh yeah, just me either. Yeah, but I'm watching Zach Wilson, and it's like he's now had 2 different coaching staffs and a good head coach that I think we all like now in Saleh, telling him pretty much the same things for 3 years.
Yep.
And it's not sticking. It's not like in the NBA when a guy doesn't develop and it's just like if there's like a big guy who doesn't shoot, it's like, oh, he's probably getting told to shoot, but at a certain point, your game is your game. Everybody has a certain style and a certain individualism. It's like, okay, like if Zach Wilson just consistently missed, 30-yard post routes, it's like, okay, we can figure out a way to make an offense work without him having to consistently try 30-yard post routes to his right or left or something like that. You could work around that. Like, he still can't hit screens. He still can't go to his second read to hit a guy in the flat. And if for 3 years, none of this takes, that to me is what makes him feel like almost a lost cause. Now, again, I'm willing to give him a little bit of leeway because he did not think he was going to play tonight. He didn't think he was going to play all year. Yep. He still had to go play a great defense Monday night. And also he had to go take over a team that was just dejected because they just were completely emasculated in front of everybody because Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like, that's a very hard task. I don't care who you are. It could have been the other way around. Aaron Rodgers could have been coming in as the backup. That's still a difficult task to do. And I thought that later, early on, the end of the first half was ridiculous. That interception was horrendous. But something they said to him in the second half, I don't know if it's you be very basic or whatever it was, it kind of worked. And look, I don't think that the Jets are going to get to a Super Bowl. I didn't even think that they were with Aaron Rodgers this year, so I certainly don't think they're going to do that now that Zach Wilson is the quarterback. But, there is a blueprint. There is a pathway. It's literally just, like they know. This isn't like the last couple years where they were trying to make him work, even if it was to their own detriment. Like, everybody's admitted he's not the guy. He pretty much is admitted right now he's not the guy. Like, he knows kind of what the team thinks of him right now. So maybe that'll be freeing in a way.
That's where my mind was at. Like,
he's like, look, no, this is total. Everything in this year is total house money from now on.
Yep.
They could win 4 games or they could win 10 games. And I feel like the reaction is going to be pretty much the same because we know the defense is going to be good. Even if they lose a bunch of games, I don't think Saleh or anybody will really be in in jeopardy because this is an impossible situation, I think, to kind of dig themselves out of. But so maybe that'll be freeing in a way, knowing that and just drilling that in. But again, like you could be play free and loose all you want. If you can't hit slants, what good does that do you?
That was my immediate thought when Zach Wilson, even legitimately when Zach Wilson came into the game. Obviously the thoughts about obviously Aaron Rodgers being hurt, that was one thought. But specifically with Zach Wilson, my thought was there are no expectations. Nobody in that stadium, nobody watching at home expects anything from this dude. Like nobody watching this game is expecting Zach Wilson to do anything here. So the fact that the Jets even won the game in the first place obviously is amazing. Zach Wilson, throughout his career, college, NFL, has always performed best when he has no expectations. That's what he did at BYU.
Well, that's everybody, right? When there's no pressure, you do well.
Some people thrive under pressure, right? Zach Wilson has always thrived when the expectations are as low as possible. That's what he did at BYU. He wasn't even seen as the starting quarterback going into his last year. He had to win the starting job in the summer, and then he made himself a Heisman candidate and then the number 2 overall pick in the draft out of absolutely nowhere. That was when he was at his best, when he was playing at BYU, and there were very few expectations. I would say right now, no one expects anything from Zach Wilson. We saw what he was last year. The Jets admitted that he wasn't the guy. They moved on. They traded for his replacement, right? They traded for his supposed replacement, who he is now replacing. And that was it. That was supposed to be the end of Zach Wilson's story as a starter with the New York Jets. I know they said they're going to develop him, but that was supposed to be the end. Now he's back, but there's no expectations. Now that could change if the Jets continue to prove that, hey, this is a really good roster and they are so close to winning games and they keep losing in spite of him or because of him, then I think there will be some expectations of like, hey, can you just play at least competent football? Like I think you'll start to ask, like those expectations will arise. But right now, I think the expectations are as low as they could possibly be. So I don't know what we're going to see from Zach Wilson, but I do know that he has been at his best in situations like this. And he also has more talent around him than he ever has with the Jets because last year, obviously earlier in the year, they had more talent, but they were depleted by injuries by the end of the year. That O-line got banged up. They lost Breece Hall. Now they got Garrett Wilson. They got Allen Lazard. They got Breece Hall. They got Dalvin Cook. They got a healthy Mekhi Becton, a healthy Elijah Vera Tucker. That's when he was at his best, when he had no expectations, and now you have good talent. We'll see what he can do.
Even the best. I mean, that Bills game.
I'm being devil's advocate optimist here. I'm not saying that I expect Zach Wilson to lead the Jets to a Super Bowl. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I feel so good for Xavier Gibson. Maybe I'm just so happy for him. But I'm still in an okay mood despite what has just happened. It'll probably hit me tonight.
Oh, I'm not.
It'll hit me tonight when I'm writing up a slideshow about quarterbacks the Jets can sign, and I start to type the words Joe Flacco, and then it'll hit me, and I'll be like, "Wow, this is the situation the Jets are in. This sucks." But until then, let's go, Zach Wilson, man. I'm pulling for you. As much as I said all offseason that he shouldn't have been QB2, that they should have made a different, because we could talk about that as well. That the Jets obviously they could have addressed the backup quarterback situation in a more significant way. That being said, my take on it all along has been, because everyone is like, oh, if Rodgers gets hurt at all, the season's over. That's not true. If Rodgers misses a few games, season's not over. If Rodgers misses the entire season,
which he is
right now, which is the fear right now, I don't care who the Jets brought in a backup quarterback. It likely wasn't going to be enough to get them over the hump. So as much as I do still fault the Jets for not bringing in a better backup quarterback and relying on Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle, I think they would have been screwed regardless.
See, I disagree off the strength of this game because going into the year, I thought the Jets had a very good defense. I thought they had decent skill position players. I mean, I'm higher on Lazard than you are. We obviously both like Garrett Wilson. I'm higher on Cook than you are. I know he was kind of very hot and cold today. Obviously, we both like Breece Hall. There's some stuff there. And the offensive line individually has very good players. I think we'll still probably see Joe Tippmann at some point this year. I'm excited to see what he ends up doing. And then the defense, I thought, while not elite, I thought that's pretty hard to find fault with a ton of this stuff because, I think the safeties are going to be better. Obviously, they have the great corners, and that front seven is one of the best in the league. Then I go watch this game, and I think this defense might be one of the 3 best in the NFL. Might be them, Dallas, and San Francisco,
I agree.
think, right now. So if you look at that, I'm like, look, if you have a top 3 defense, I don't care if you're running the single wing like it's 1920s, you got a shot to at least do something in there. So I'm like, you know what? if this team was an average defensive team or an above average defensive team, then I'm like, all right, yeah, it pretty much doesn't matter who you bring in. Like, they can still win games, but you're not going to be like a championship contender. If they had, imagine right now if they had a guy just to throw in a Gardner Minshew, a Jacoby Brissett, if they had just one of those, high end,
Mike White.
Mike White. What's the guy in the Vikings who played for the Niners? Oh,
Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins. Like if
Mullins. Nick Mullins is kind of bad. He's kind of.
I may like him more than most. Anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Those high end backups who keep getting jobs. If you had one of them instead of Zach Wilson, I'm like, all right. I still don't think they're going to win a championship, but maybe they can win the division. If you just run the ball and defend enough, it's an old formula. It's kind of a hokey formula. It works. It works sometimes. I'm like, I get Zach Wilson, on the other hand, I have no confidence because we saw this exact thing last year.
We did.
Maybe that's why it's frustrating, is because it's almost the exact same team. That's it. It's what, like, at least, like, to bring back up the Nets analogy, it's like, all right, at least they completely wiped the whole board and brought out like a whole new team and it's trying to figure something out. This, like, outside of adding Lazard and Cook and getting rid of LaMarcus Joyner, pretty much identical. That's what I'm afraid of, because they're like, oh, they beat some good teams. I'm like, I've seen them beat good teams last year. I've seen them beat the Bills at home last year. And then guess what happens?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Brian,
let's just hope Alan Lazard doesn't demand a trade at this point and Elijah Moore this thing up. Who, by the way, Elijah Moore stunk for the Browns. I know they won, but he stunk, so good on you, Elijah Moore.
Brian in chat brings up an interesting point here, that what were the Jets thinking bringing in Testaverde to be the honorary captain for Aaron Rodgers' debut? It reminds me of the Alex Smith, Joe Theismann coincidence. Like, it reminds me of that a little bit. That is kind of nuts. And I don't know, man. Sports are weird. Sports have a weird way of doing stuff like that.
Alex Smith is still the only quarterback who is harder for me to watch than Zach Wilson aesthetically. When he came back, because I thought he literally was good. Remember his first game against the Rams, and he got sacked like a bunch of times. I'm like, this man is literally his leg is going to be split in half, and he's going to die. I could not watch it.
Dude, first of all, we appreciate everybody leaving comments. We're reading every single one of them. And also, I know we haven't really said it much. Like and subscribe if you can to our YouTube. We are on TikTok as well. Follow us on Twitter, all that stuff. I mean, we're still going, by the way. I want to talk a little bit about another potential name that will get thrown around in a second. But we really appreciate all of your guys' support. It's been a rough night. It has been an interesting night. Definitely interesting. It's never a dull moment with this Jets team, but we got an awesome community. Like the Jets, I truly believe this. I think the Jets have one of the best fan bases in the NFL and in the sports world. I love this fan base. I love this community, and appreciate everybody who is commenting, who is listening. You guys are awesome. Now, Mike, I want to get your thoughts for a second.
Okay.
On a name that is going to be thrown around a lot, and I've already seen people talking about it. Now, it's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. But how insane would it be if Tom Brady came out of retirement to play for the New York Jets?
I almost wouldn't like that. I'd almost refuse.
Wouldn't it be hilarious? He gets inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. They waive the waiting period for him to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. He gets inducted and then immediately comes out of retirement to play for the Jets. How insane would that be?
Isn't he like a part owner of the Raiders? Like, how is that going to work in that game?
I think he could still do it. He's fine.
Would he throw the game to win it for the Raiders?
Like, I don't think the Jets still play the Raiders this year, do they?
Yeah, they do.
They play the AFC West. You're right. Well, there's Calvin Ridley can do it. So can Tom Brady. It's fine. He's good. He's all right.
I always remember, it was funny too. Remember, because there was that deal the Dolphins had where they wanted him to be like an owner and the quarterback. I'm like, how does that work? Like, what if he throws 3 interceptions and he's like, you're benched? He's like, well, I'm the owner. You're fired. Like, how would that work?
I have no idea, man. I'm sure there's a way they could do it. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen. But in theory, like theoretically, he would be the best option. No, like you have to say he's the best option.
Right.
Like, I think even still, he's a top 15 quarterback, probably a borderline top 10 quarterback. I know he wasn't, the best when we last saw him, but he was still Tom Brady. He wasn't at his peak, but clearly he's the best of all the options if he was actually available.
Right. Let me ask you this, though, putting number 12 aside.
Sure.
Ruin my childhood.
Number 12, yeah. We put number 8 aside, formerly number 12, now number 8 aside.
If you wanted to make because I know that he said, I like the quote where you said earlier about how Wilson is starter for the rest of the year, like unless something really goes down.
Yeah.
If I'm going to make a power ranking of guys for maybe of guys who might be harder to get, but I could at least see them potentially making a move for, like within reason. Number 1 on my list, it's got to be Kyler. I mean,
sure.
You have to check on Kyler, especially if the Cardinals are they're starting Josh Dobbs again. They are making no bones about the fact that they're going to take advantage of one of the best quarterback classes we've ever seen, with the tip of the spear being Caleb Williams, who is a Trevor Lawrence, John Elway, Andrew Luck level prospect. So if they are that open about we're going for that, and then Kyler's not going to be, unlikely, you got to make the call. It costs nothing to take the call. Just make the call. If we're going for Brian says Murray won't be playing until Thanksgiving. You give it till the bye week. Give it till the bye week. You'll be in October, early November. Then you can make that move. And then again, because Kyler's locked up long term, that's your long term answer. Then I'm looking at Carson Wentz, who, look, I know it's for some reason I almost compare Carson Wentz to Nickelback, where even though that's sort of my genre of music, I'm not a huge Nickelback fan, but Nickelback's got some good songs. And I just don't know why they particularly became like the band that's fun for everybody to make fun of. Carson Wentz is not a particularly amazing quarterback, but it's like there's a lot worse out there. It reminds me of Scott Mitchell, that old Lions quarterback.
Sure.
I remember everybody puts him on the top of worst free agents ever, Scott Mitchell, because he was like the pre-Brock Osweiler, big backup quarterback.
Carson Wentz. I feel like Carson Wentz.
There's a lot worse. He's fine. Look at the numbers.
I feel like Carson Wentz is if Josh Allen was a lot worse. That's how I kind of feel about Carson.
And again, General Shadow right here, Wentz, please God, no. People are saying sign Nick Foles.
I don't know. Wentz is obviously he's better than a couple of the options out there. I'd rather see Wentz
30 touchdowns and 7 picks 2021, 2 years ago.
I don't know. Was that 2021 he did that?
Yeah, that was not that
27 touchdowns, 7 receptions. Yeah, look, obviously the options aren't great out there.
How long did it take Zach Wilson to throw 27 touchdowns? 3 years?
I do think he would be better than Zach Wilson. I'm looking at some of the rosters around the NFL too, and I know they say Zach Wilson is QB1 for now, but again, if shit hits the fan and they gotta make a move at the deadline, they could do it if they're in contention. A couple of other, so I brought up Jameis Winston before. I think that is my favorite realistic option that could potentially
and then Jameis would be number 3. I just think Jameis has had some injury problems too, and
yes,
I think he'd be a little too. Carson Wentz has at least shown he could kind of be a little interception. Say Jameis is a little too cavalier for a team that just needs a game manager, in my opinion.
Well, Wentz is going to make your. I wouldn't call Wentz a game manager by any means. That dude is going to have a ton of turnovers.
That's kind of what he was doing in Indianapolis.
He's still a turnover machine, Wentz. He makes a lot of very, very poor play, very just dangerous plays.
Oh yeah, but again, there's no Joe Montana on the There's no Joe Montana on the market. He's the best one available.
I would definitely prefer Jameis to Carson Wentz. That way, even if they have to trade something for him, I would 100% prefer Jameis to Carson Wentz. Another potential option, who I'm looking at a third string, again, guys who could realistically be traded, because I know people said Tyler Huntley in chat, or Blaine Gabbert or Tyrod Taylor, those guys aren't getting traded.
What if it's Darnold? That would be awesome.
Darnold would be hilarious. So if they didn't get rid of Lance, I would say maybe. But they got rid of Lance, so I'm not sure that they're looking to move on. I know they have Brandon Allen as their third QB, but another option, Case Keenum. He's third string in Houston. He could be traded.
He's also from Houston. He's from Houston. I think he probably went there to kind of retire.
All right, then hell, take a swing on Davis Mills, man. They already got CJ Stroud. They don't want Davis Mills anymore. Take a swing on Davis Mills. Send him a 5th rounder.
Now that you say it, that's honestly not crazy.
Not awful. Not a terrible idea. I'm just looking at guys who could potentially be available.
Davis Mills, if you tell him to drop back and throw an 8-yard out, we'll do it.
Yeah, I don't hate Davis Mills. Yeah, I mean, it's not great options. I mean, the Colts aren't trading Minshew. I know they still have Sam Ellinger, but they're not trading him. Hey, Josh Johnson's still third string in Baltimore. Bring back Josh Johnson. You can do that. But obviously, these aren't
Josh Johnson was a better Jet than his best game as a Jet was better than Zach Wilson's best game as a Jet.
I really thought you were going to say he was a better Jet than Aaron Rodgers. And I was going to be like, technically
true. Yes. Almost every Jet ever is a better Jet than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to think that Aaron Rodgers has the same amount of completions with the Jets as Brett Favre did with the Falcons.
Chaz Schillens is a better Jet than Sharon Peake is a better Jet than Aaron Rodgers.
This hurts, man. This hurts, man. Now I'm sad. Now you've made me sad. Look what you've done. I wasn't sad until you just said that, and now it's hitting me, and now I'm sad.
I mean, what do we got? Because again, you got to think long term. Because again, like this is a roster that wants to win now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just say all right. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Surgery done. I want to come back. He's gonna be 40 with a bad leg.
That's what sucks about this is that the Jets' entire roster has been constructed in a Super Bowl window for Aaron Rodgers, right? I know they have a ton of young talent on the team, but you're hoping to take advantage of their rookie contract. You're hoping to take advantage of Sauce on his rookie deal. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all these guys, Elijah Vera Tucker still on a rookie contract. You're hoping to take advantage of that with, obviously, you got an expensive quarterback, but you can do that when you have that young talent on rookie deals. Now with Rodgers out, that entire window changes. Like everything shifts. I saw you just had an epiphany, Mike. What was it? What do you got?
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. I mean, is he? So where he's in
Seattle.
In Seattle. Would they trade him? No, he's the only other quarterback on the roster.
I feel like if Geno really stinks, they would draft a quarterback this year, and I feel like Lock is. Yeah.
Do you want Drew Lock though?
I want Aaron Rodgers. That's who I want.
I know. We all want Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, doesn't matter what we want. Jets can't have nice things, man. They can't. They can't have nice things. The universe hates the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers didn't miss a start for 5 years.
I hate doing this too.
Chuck Clark didn't miss a snap of football.
There's nothing I hate more than the woe is me, same old Jets, Jester cursed talk. I hate that so much, but it's hard to not think that now. Look what you've done. Now you've made me sad, Mike. I'm sad. I was still in a good mood, and then you brought up how Chaz Schillens was a better Jet than Aaron Rodgers, and now I'm sad. Look what you've done.
You can't handle the truth.
And Brian in chat, Carr was the right choice all along. I've already seen
Derek Carr when I got hurt in 3 plays. Knowing the Jets.
Honestly, it doesn't matter who the Jets brought in. It was a fluke play. And I know people blaming the O-line for it. It was a 3-step drop. The ball should have been out. No one was open. He got sacked.
That play happens 6 times every game.
It happens. It happens. Dwayne Brown got beat. It happens. What are you going to do? Should they have been running? I know Breece hit the ground running. Maybe they should have went back to him again. Sure. Possibly. But it just happened. It just happened. People in chat talking about the video of the pop in his Achilles. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the video of it, Mike, but you can see the calf kind of pop. So it's it's not confirmed, but with an Achilles, you pretty much know. So it's what it is. It's what it is. Aaron Rodgers will be 40 next year. He'll be turning 41 in December of next year of 2024. I don't know what the plan will be. It's impossible to predict what the future holds at this time. It's just a shame that we finally thought we kind of knew what the Jets' plan was at quarterback. We said, all right, we have a 2-3 year plan at the quarterback position. We know what our Super Bowl window is. We know what we're doing. And then 4 plays into the season,
4 plays
into the season, that plan gone right out the window.
4 plays.
It's crazy, man. Hey, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. Once again, I'm going to choose to at least be happy for tonight. I'm going to be happy.
I won't be.
I'm going to be happy for Xavier Gibson. I'm going to be happy for Jordan Whitehead. I'm going to be happy that the Jets are in first place in the AFC East. That, hey, no matter what happens, Mike, Aaron Rodgers is 1-0 as a Jets starter. No matter what happens.
Percentage in Jets history.
That's true. Aaron Rodgers is undefeated. He is 1-0 as a Jets starting quarterback. He has more wins than completions with the Jets, but he's still 1-0 as a Jets starting quarterback.
I feel bad for people who bought – it's funny, too, because, people obviously bought tons of Rodgers gear.
Yeah.
In the preseason game, so there's the green jerseys, right? Because he wore the white in the preseason game, and then he had the throwback. That green Aaron Rodgers jersey could be a collector's item because that will have never been
It's like the thing is,
More.
it's a collector's item, but also like how many people bought it? Like so many people bought it.
A friend of mine in high school, I remember when the Sixers got Andrew Bynum and he never played for like 3 years.
I honestly don't. I know Andrew Bynum. I didn't know.
Yeah, he had it when that happened. He had like an Andrew Bynum shirt with Bynum 33 on the back, and they had him for like 3 years. He never played one game, and then they got rid of him. That's what those Aaron Rodgers number 8 jerseys will be, man.
It's surreal. It is surreal. But again, I'm going to choose to be happy tonight. I'll be happy for Quinn and Williams. I'll be happy for everybody on that team that played their heart out. Like they played their asses off to stay in this goddamn game. Like there's no reason the Jets should have won this game. They had no right beating one of the best teams in the NFL with Zach Wilson at quarterback, not to mention how deflated they must have been after they saw Aaron Rodgers go down. And I'm sure word carries quickly. I'm sure there was word on the sideline that they were fearing it was a torn Achilles. I'm sure that got around pretty quickly. But the Jets didn't care. They still won this game. So only for tonight, I will choose to be very happy about that. And I'll sulk tomorrow. I'll grieve tomorrow. I'll worry about who the Jets quarterback is going to be tomorrow. Tonight, I'm happy.
Marcus Mariota.
I don't know about you. Marcus Mariota.
No, legitimately. Not even joking.
Would the Eagles why would the Eagles trade him? Like he's a perfect backup for Hurst. Why would they want to get rid of him?
Tanner McKee looked good in the preseason.
He's also a weird backup for Hurts. Like completely different quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know why they took him, but I mean,
it's a weird backup for him. I think a team like the Eagles who's trying to compete for a Super Bowl, who has
General Shadow has said Baker a bunch of times. I mean, Baker is the starter. I don't think
starter in Tampa. He's the starter on the NFC South leading Tampa Bay Bucks. Like,
whoa. Can they try going after Ben DiNucci? He's okay. I saw him in one game. He looked like a high school kid.
Wow, we are scraping.
He wasn't even particularly good in the XFL. I think he led the XFL in picks.
I can't believe
the Seattle Sea Dragons.
I can't believe it's 12:30 in the morning, the night after the Jets Week 1 game. We're talking about Ben DiNucci. What has happened, man?
If you told me beforehand the Jets are winning 22-16, I'd be doing cartwheels. What a win! And here we are talking about maybe if everything goes right, we might be able to get Drew Lock.
Ben DiNucci just Chaz Shillings me. That brought me back to reality again. I was happy again. Damn it! Who brought up Ben DiNucci?
Brian Will Greer balled out in the preseason. He stopped piling on.
He honestly did ball out. Hell, man, let's go get Taysom Hill. Let's get Logan Woodside. Let's get Will Levis. Let's get Mason Rudolph. Actually, is third string in Pittsburgh.
Are we making a list of the least mobile quarterbacks ever? Like Flacco.
Spitballing. Honestly, I'm spitballing at this point. I don't know, man.
Let's go and sign. What was the guy from Navy? Keenan Reynolds, and we're gonna run the flex bone.
No, go get Malik. Honestly, go get Malik Cunningham. He's on the Patriots practice squad. He looked really good.
Oh, they were gonna say Malik Willis.
No, I mean maybe he's available. Who knows?
I like how we're so desperate and so coping that we've thrown out like 30 names, and for pretty much all of them, we're like, yeah, go ahead.
This is incredible. This is the most coping I've done in a long time, and that's saying a lot with the Jets. This is the most coping I've done. Again, all right, I'm snapping back out of it. I'm going to choose to be happy for tonight, Mike. I don't know about you. I don't know about the rest of the chat, but I'm tired. So I think I'm going to call it quits now. It
is late on the East Coast.
It's late, but I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to be excited about just the Jets winning this game. That's it. That's all. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that the now is pretty damn good. I know that tonight was really fun. I had a great time. I enjoyed seeing Xavier Gibson score the game-winning touchdown. What a moment for him, from being undrafted out of Stephen F. Austin to the limelight on primetime TV, winning the game after Aaron Rodgers goes down. I couldn't be happier for him. I'm sorry, man. I'm trying. I'm really, really trying here. But hey, man.
You could have watched a pretty good episode. I love that show Castlevania on Netflix. You could have watched a full episode and it would have lasted longer than the Aaron Rodgers era with the New York Jets.
Yeah, man. You're right.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna call it quits. Good night to everybody in chat.
Check us out on Wednesday for more coping.
We will be back on Wednesday live here, 3 p.m. Eastern time, discussing whatever the hell happened next with this team, because I can't predict it, man. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm just because every game is going to be every game preview for the rest of the season is going to be, well, the defense is great. As Zach Wilson doesn't screw it up, they can win this game. It's going to be
I
some
know.
variation of that.
Ending on a happy note, happy for Xavier Gibson. Happy that the Jets are leading the AFC East for the first time, I believe, in 13 years. That's pretty damn cool. Thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter @ByMikeLuciano. You can follow me on Twitter @JustinTFried. Follow JetPress @TheJetPress. Download the JetPress podcast wherever you get your podcast. That's Spotify, Google Podcasts. You guys, all of that stuff. You know what to do. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for listening to JetPress Podcast. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for joining us tonight, for grieving with us, for experiencing this with us, because Jets fans are awesome. And I know it sucks. I know days nights like tonight suck. It really does suck being a fan of this team sometimes. But I've met some amazing people in this community. You guys are all awesome. Everybody who tuned in, everybody who left a comment, you're amazing. So good night to everybody. Thank you all for joining us on the show. I've been Justin Fried. That has been Mike Luciano. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Enjoy the win, and then after this, welcome to hell. See you guys next week.